just want you to remember, there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Charbonneau that once said, there's a law in life called the law of reciprocity. And in that law, it says you got to give before you get. And the more you give, the more you get. And my friend, you do exactly that. But remember, this is a journey. You're not finished. You need to continue to do what you've been doing for all these years. Because I'll tell you what, I am very proud of you. So with that said, would you please join and welcome me, Paul Zafarana, MiPPA teacher. Changing of the guard. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can you all hear me without the mic okay? I hear my voice carries pretty well with it without it. Thank you, Cliff, for that introduction. I really appreciate that. You had me choked up over there. So my first order of business everybody told me was when I get up here, is to take a deep breath. So yeah, I'm good. A rose by any other name still smells as sweet. I mention that for a few reasons. First, you sound really smart when you quote Shakespeare, and it adds a little gravitas to the evening. So when people think of Hall of Fame, they think of folks like Joe Louis, Shaq, Terry Bradshaw, and many other sports Hall of Famers. While those folks are very talented at their craft, they're not my heroes. My heroes are in this room. The heroes, the sports figures, never been able to show me how to put food on my table, money in the bank, and hone my skills to be a better person. My heroes use words like volunteer, ROI, and ROO. And I'll tell you what that is, Mom and Dad, later. You help me with the volunteer part. I understood when we came up here I was supposed to thank one person, but as you many know, I'm not really good at listening to rules. So there's a few people that I'd like to thank. John Anderson, I'd like to thank you for being one of my original nominators a few years ago. Cheerleader in our corner, and helping me see how things are going, and always checking in with us, and very supportive of us and PICA and all of our crazy ideas. So thank you. I promise to keep this under 45 minutes. Yeah. Cliff Quicksell. You persisted in nominating me and helped me cross the finish line. I can't thank you enough. I first met Cliff back in Chicago at one of his speaking engagements, and I'm sitting in the back of the room going, I want to get to know that guy. Something sparked him in me, it sparked his conversation with me that I was like, I really got to get to know him. So I proceeded to get to know him, and all these years later, I now go hang out at his house. He comes here, and we have a lot of great creative sessions at our old kitchen table in there. We've solved a lot of the world's problems over a few glasses of wine and some delicious crab cakes. So if you want the recipe, you're going to have to ask Cliff for that recipe for crab cakes. So in our industry, he's taught me how to use the products like a chef uses stuff at the grocery store to come up with some very creative dishes served in the world's finest restaurants. He's helped show me how to do that. He's taught me. He's been an excellent teacher to me. Paul Kiwi. Back when I met Paul, we were sitting in a room much like this at San Marino Club in the middle of winter. No heat, no lights, no food. It was a potluck, if I remember correctly. And we sat down and said, hey, we're tired of all these beige wall shows. Let's do something different. And we sat at that meeting and came up with the idea to come up with Roar, the end user show, which was met with some very positive remarks and some opposition to it because it was the first end user show like it in the country. We broke some barriers with that and broke some ground. So we wanted to jazz it up. And since that time, we've been able to create I've been involved in 2 of the Pyramid Awards for MiPPA, and I think we've had a couple others since for it. To see the organization grow and keep continuing with that, there's just so much talent in this room. It's amazing. So it's great to work with a true Hall of Famers. They say it takes a village to raise an individual. I also believe it takes a vineyard, as evidenced by the many creative moments discussed over a glass of wine. The great Jim Varvato once said, "The greatest gift one person can give another is believing in them." So I'd like to acknowledge them by saying thank you to those who first started believing in me. I'd like to thank my arms for always being at my side, my legs for standing by me, and my fingers for always counting on them. No, I'd like to thank my mom and dad and all the life lessons that they taught me along the way. I learned to make do with what we had, and we never went without. So I appreciate you guys for showing me that. They helped me guide me to go to college. I didn't always have the greatest grades, and they encouraged me to go on to college, even though it wasn't potentially in the cards for me. So I remember sitting in my grandfather's basement, who used to own a sign shop up in Muskegon, and watching him draw all this stuff by hand on his drafting table, and just being amazed. I thought that was the coolest thing. Sorry. He died my freshman year of college. But I was able to show him what I was able to do. What I was able to do in this industry, that it didn't have to be drawn by hand. I was doing stuff on the computer with all this crazy stuff, and this is in the early 90s. So it was cool to be able to show him what I could do with this medium on it, and I think it's awesome. My folks have been a great supporter of us in Pica over the years. When we go on our trips to Vegas, and we call it we don't call it, they call it our business trip to Vegas. And because they see all the posts and all the fun times that we're having out there, and it's because of folks like you in this room that help make them a lot of fun to do those. We have a few chuckles along the way too. I'd love to thank my lovely wife, Stephanie. The journey over 14 years ago in this business, I know it's hard to believe. Neither of us have any gray hair to show for it. I don't. But you kept encouraging me to move forward, and more often than not, you reeled me back from my starry-eyed dreams, not my dreams, but my shiny object moments. So, and you brought me back to reality, so thank you. You picked me up when times were tight and celebrated some great wins over the year. I can't imagine going through this journey with anyone else but you. So our internal code saying that we have in our office, or she tells me, is, "Nice work, Zafarana." So that we have some fun with that. That's the way we celebrate wins, both big and little. My boys, Gavin and Liam, man, you know what it's like firsthand to watch mom and dad live in a commission-style business with the ups and downs, the good times and bad times. You may have learned a few new swear words over the years. But you know, life's not easy, and know that we can get through it. We started the business, as Cliff mentioned, so that we were able to spend time with our family. That was a big motivator for us, and we've been able to do that through the coaching, through sports, through going to their activities, and watching them, you know, their golf events or the band concerts and stuff like that. I'm proud to say that both my boys are Eagle Scouts, and we've had some great journeys going on those activities with them. So a little couple general nudges from Mom and I to keep you guys going with it, but I think it was your motivation to do that, and I'm very excited for both of you and what the future holds. When I think of someone who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, I think of longevity in the industry, commitment to the industry and people, making a difference to the people they've served, and representing the industry with professionalism, and being an ambassador for those in the industry. I hope I've been able to exemplify those traits to you here and to my kids, and leave the world a better place than I found it. One of my favorite quotes that hangs in my office is by Confucius. When it's obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, but adjust the action steps. In this crazy industry that we're all in, we need to keep adjusting and make that stuff happen. In closing, I leave you with this. Every artist writes their own autobiography. What's yours going to say? Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Well done, Ace.
Very good teacher. I have a shameless plug. I am the volunteer committee member for the leadership event. And if there's anybody in here